This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Scott Foster, our honored patron and Switch Knight.
Hey everybody, I'm KC.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Nintendo Switch champions.
I like it this time. That was a good start.
Okay, I'm glad. Better than last time?
Yeah, a little bit.
You like champion? Okay, I probably should pre-plan those, but you know what? I go on instinct. And thank you for listening, everybody. This is a podcast just all about the Nintendo Switch, the people who play them, the games, and just good times with the community and everything. How you doing this week, JV?
I'm doing really well. I've been digging into a lot of games. It's starting to get a bit overwhelming.
It is. We were just talking actually before we started recording, you know, like games that we want to be hyped to play, like really seriously, just, you know, the fact that they're being cut in by other really exciting games that we want to play maybe slightly more. And it's very hard to choose what we're going to spend our time on. And like, there's just some titles that you have to buy and some that you will probably try to own maybe if there's ever a lull.
Yeah, especially this month and even this whole holiday season, there's multiple heavy-hitting games each month coming out. It's hard to prioritize which one to focus on.
Yeah, I honestly wish that there was a lull, like just 1 month where I don't have a game that's like, oh my gosh, I have to get into this, I have to buy this. And because like I'm still trying to I'm not used to this. I'm so the kind of guy who spends 3-4 months just playing the same game and then moves on to the next thing. But this is just a lot of titles that I'm having a hard time keeping up with because I want to play games to talk about on this show here with you guys. And then there's just games that I really want to keep playing so I can actually win some more tournaments and stuff and some competitions because this weekend, like every other weekend that we at least try, I'm going to be throwing another couple of tournaments.
Cool. We
didn't get to do the Mario Kart battle mode one last weekend because Sunday I had something come up family-wise and I wasn't able to be around for it. But I'm going to do that this Saturday. I want to do the Mario Kart battle mode because people have been asking for that. So check out the Facebook group. It's in the link to it is in the show description, so you can join up there. I will post an event there. There'll be all the information you need to join up. And we're just going to have a good, I'll probably set aside like an hour or two of just grind out battles with everybody, most points wins, something simple, just a good fun evening of battle mode. I think it'll be around 7 Eastern.
Yeah, that sounds good. Though, it's interesting, you've been running into a string of tragedies recently, KC.
Oh gosh, yeah, this is a really bad, like this Monday, I promised you guys this Monday I was going to post the Switch topics of the Zelda Breath of the Wild episode we did for the patrons. And then literally I turn on my computer Monday and I get a blue screen, little smiley face on a blue screen, said your computer won't boot up. And then it kept trying to restart. And I was like, IT guy. And then they came over and just said the hard drive just died on it. And I was like, oh
man. Are they able to recover the data at all?
As I left work today, he had the computer hooked up. It took a couple of days. He was scanning the hard drive. And as I left the office today, I did see my laptop loaded with the old background. All my shortcuts were there. And I clicked around before I left. I said, yes, my files are here.
Were the files accessible? That's the thing. I'm hoping that the files themselves aren't corrupted because they can still have the index of the file there, but if you open it, it might not work if the hard drive is fully read. So
he gave me an update and said it looked like it was, everything was being found, but we'll see. I guess I'll know. Because that would be heartbreaking if anything went wrong with that, because I did spend so much time putting that together.
Especially since it's a community effort. We had a bunch of our community members join us in that podcast.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if we can get this going. So here's hoping, thoughts and prayers to your
Thank you.
thing, Casey.
Also, big news and big events. Next week, as we discovered last week, is our anniversary episode.
Yeah, that snuck up on us, didn't it?
Yeah. October 20th was the day we recorded our first episode. It was the day of the Nintendo Switch reveal trailer. I think that is effectively the birthday of the SwitchCast, and we want to do something cool and special, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually going to be compiling a bunch of messages from you guys, maybe giving us your favorite moments, your favorite memories of the SwitchCast, or your experience with the Switch as a whole within the past year. We definitely want to hear from you directly through audio so that we can directly respond to you guys on the podcast.
Yeah, so if you guys want to leave us an audio message, you can. The easiest way to do that is you can call our voicemail, which is 317-POD-CHAT. That's PODCHAT. The voicemail message says something about the Pocket Players. You can ignore that. It's it's the SwitchCast voicemail. I just never updated the message.
We probably should.
Yeah.
If you don't want to go the voicemail route, you can still send us an audio file through emails. Just attach the audio file to an email. Email it to casey@theswitchcast.com, and we can edit that in as well.
Yeah, keep them short, don't ramble for 5 minutes, but definitely tell us, what your favorite moment for the show, what your favorite moment with the Switch, anything like that about this year. It's just been, it's been a crazy fun year, and I can't believe that we're in a groove, of things right now that...
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to hear from you guys. Try to keep it about 30 seconds, 1 minute tops, but around the 30-second mark is probably where it would be best.
And maybe I'll even find a couple clips if anyone wants to, tell me about a moment. And if you could find the timestamp or you remember exactly when it happened, I might... cut in a scene from a previous episode.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine the stupid stuff we've said in the past.
Oh yeah. Guys, and if you think the stuff we say on the show is stupid, you should hear the outtakes I keep.
Maybe you can throw one or two of them in there.
I always send JV one voice clip of something really dumb one of us said when I'm editing, and I'm just like, oh, this is so dumb. I'm taking it out of the show, but this I have to send JV.
They're hilarious and frightening at the same time. So
yeah,
let's look forward to that next week, guys.
All right, so let's just dive into the game time, because that's the fun time.
Yeah, game time is fun time. Let's go.
All right, so I got my hands on this week the indie title Earth Atlantis. This is by, Pixel Perfects, I believe they're called. This is the Monster Hunter-y type shoot 'em up, I guess you could say. They described it as, it has a very unique art style. It's distinctive in that everything is done with these wire frames, and it kind of looks like old sketchings or schematics.
Right. It looks like you're looking at a top-down map, a printed map, but in real time and moving around.
Right. It has that brown kind of gradient and look to it. But it actually takes place in this future world where where the world has been submerged in water, and there's, almost nothing left of the land, and robots have merged with sea life, and they become these aquatic robo-biological creatures that I guess I'm assuming they hate or destroy humanity, or maybe they just destroy everything. But
you had me at robots. Go on.
Yes, they're pretty cool looking too, and there's a lot of them. And you are this submarine, and you are sent to this map, and it's more or less a boss rush game where your objective is on this map to go to one boss, go from one boss to the next, and just kind of, as you defeat bosses, the map opens up more and more. Like little passages lead to more outer regions of it. It has a little bit of a Metroidvania in that respect, in that, you're going back and forth across this map, but it's not as much as like, you need key to do this, or you're not really like upgrading yourself in any substantial way. You're just exploring new crevasses of the map as you go.
Okay, so is it a full singular map that you can travel across from without any real limitation?
The only limitation is certain passages don't open until a boss has been beaten.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Yeah, you do that, and it's kind of fun, especially at first, because, you're just exploring. You have a radar that shows you where there's certain item drops and where the bosses are. The item drops are sub-weapon power-ups, because you start off with a little pea shooter, and you have like nothing, right? Like a typical shoot-'em-up.
Right.
And it feels like that, but it's a very interesting spin on the genre because it is this whole like exploratory style of play. But yeah, you start off with a pea shooter, and eventually random enemies that you shoot or fish or whatever will drop power-ups, and you'll get, more shots here or more shots from your rear, things like that. The controls are very simple. It's just joystick to move around. You have one button for shooting and one button to flip which way you're facing, which way is your front. But you can shoot in both directions. It's just that your front is where your sub-weapons will come out. Okay. So before you take on the bosses, you'll probably want to build up a few powers, because you're gonna die if you don't have some sort of powered up guns. And you might hunt down a few of the little item drops I mentioned. And there's all different types of sub-weapons. There's like homing missiles, and there's like a Tesla coil that like just shocks anything that comes within range. And they're pretty cool. And if you happen to find multiple of the same power-up, you'll get a more powerful version, or you'll get like, 2 rockets that come out and stuff like that. The only problem with that is it's kind of annoying, because you just have to get lucky that the same power-up drops a few times.
Okay, so there's nothing you can specifically hunt down for to power up a certain weapon?
Right. And it really feels like they should have put in a feature that just let you store up all the sub-weapons and just pick which one you want equipped, like a Mega Man style. Like, okay, I want the homing missiles for this section. I'll switch to the Tesla coil for this section. Because they do all have very different uses. And when you get to the bosses, you might start developing strategies. In fact, you might need to develop strategies, because the bosses are really the centerpiece of this game. And
of course.
Yeah. And there are many of them, and they are hard. I'm playing this game on hard mode, actually, and this is, the bosses do feel, fighting some of these bosses does remind me of playing a Monster Hunter shoot 'em up in a few ways, in that it is very important to understand what the bosses are doing. Like, they have a certain number of attacks, they have some tells that let you know, oh, I'm going to be doing this sweep of homing missiles that if you're really far away, they're going to hit you, so you might want to be close to me for this one. Or, they have a pattern that you got to get used to, but they're hard. And a lot of people have complained already that this game is too hard, but I think a more accurate description of what is with this game right now is that right now, and I will preface this, that there's a patch coming. They've already told me there's a patch coming to fix this. The game is too punishing.
Okay.
Because if you die, your progress is saved. Any bosses you've killed are still dead, and you can start, continue with a new life. But you start back with nothing. You don't have any of your sub-weapons. You don't have any of your power-ups. And you have to go around the map again and hunt down the power-ups and just kind of grind those up and find the weapons you want again.
Okay, so it is similar to a roguelike in that sense, then.
I guess, but your progress is like I said, there is a certain number of bosses throughout the game, and any bosses you've killed, if you decide to continue, stay dead. It's just that if you want to fight that boss that you died on again, you have to go and power up all over again and then go back to him.
Yeah, that doesn't sound incredibly ideal.
Right, and it probably is this game's biggest flaw right now, because, and I've heard other people say the same thing, when you die, like, I know a game is great when every time you die, you're like, oh, I can't wait to play again. Let me load this up and just fight again. Or I can't put this down. Every time you die, as the game is right now, you just kind of want to quit. You just like, oh, I don't feel like playing this anymore. I want to stop, and maybe I'll come back to it in a half hour when I feel like grinding again. But it is a very big problem. It is, however, like I said, they have specifically said they're going to make it easier to get your power-ups back and to get right back into the bosses. So we'll see. Maybe they'll let you keep some of your power-ups when you die. This wouldn't be so bad either if some of the bosses didn't have instant kill attacks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That seems really punishing, especially considering the item loss system that you described. That would definitely induce rage quits, I think.
I think so. Especially your first time on a boss, you don't know what those attacks are. Like, I think one of the strengths of the game is observing, learning, and then adapting your combat for what the boss is doing. But if the boss has an instant kill attack, there's no way to say, oh, okay, I've learned that now. Let me go and adjust. No, you're dead. And now it's going to take you another 10 minutes to get back to him. Anything else, like, you can actually leave battles. Like, if it does, it gets you to a sliver of health, you can try to just escape back to the regular areas and then maybe grind up some hit points again, killing lesser enemies and come back. It's just those instant kills. It's like, oh, well, I didn't know he had that. All right, well, I guess I know for now. So that's the biggest thing.
Okay, that actually is a very big deal because the amount of frustration you could get would really hamper someone's desire to replay this game.
Yes.
I almost feel like I wouldn't want to delve into this game and invest so much time if I knew that a single mistake like that would be so costly.
Yeah. Now, there are a few more good points I want to go over first, but I will say right here, because of that, I would suggest anyone who's interested in this game at least wait for that update. I mean, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I am still enjoying this game.
Okay.
But I would suggest you wait until that update hits, because it's very likely, I think, even if you, like, I went into this really liking the concept of this game, but I feel like it will drain your will as it is right now to go and really appreciate the game. So if you wait until the update comes out, it'll prevent you from being spoiled, basically, by this annoying it. Other than that, I will say, like I said, the array of monsters are great. There's so many different things that you encounter, even like the minor enemies as you're exploring. You go into this cave. Oh, now there's these lurker fish that shoot lasers that bounce off of walls. All right, I got to adapt to that. And then there's like these jellyfish that just charge at you with electricity. And they really do keep you on your toes, especially on hard mode. It does become a bullet hell at some times. It's never too hard, but again, it's really pretty exciting. I don't enjoy going back and forth over the same bits of map, which you kind of do, like, because only 2 bosses spawn at a time, and usually the bosses are like at different parts of the map, so you kind of crisscross. I'm gonna go to the left side, beat this boss. Oh, now there's another one on the right side of the map, and then you kind of go over the same ground a few times, which is a little annoying, but again, you know, it's not that big a deal. You can move pretty fast through here. The music probably could also use a little spicing up. It has it has a nice tune to it. It has this, optimistic, I guess you could say, exploration kind of tune.
It seems upbeat a little bit.
Yeah, it's upbeat. I just feel that it could benefit from changing now and then. Like when you start off maybe on the surface, or you're close to the surface, it's great. But then sometimes I'm diving really deep and you go into these caves, and it would be nice if the music altered as I went into the cave area, or I went really deep down underground, and it'd be, the music should kind of evoke the mood of where you're going, instead of just one song looping all the time. I think that could probably benefit also. And there is one drawback I'll say to the graphic style. As much as I love it, and it looks great, especially on the TV mode, some attacks are not perfectly clear to see because of the brown and black kind of coloring of it. Like there's some guys that shoot little electric beams, And so it's basically a white beam on a tan background, and it's not super contrasting. So it's very easy to not even see that you were just driving into a laser beam.
Gotcha. Yeah, I can definitely see with this monotone color scheme that readability might be an issue for some attacks.
Yeah, maybe if they added a little more like cell shading to some attacks, or just made them, I don't know, added a little more visual effect to them. I don't know, but it is the one drawback I'll say to this graphic style is that. But again, it's not a deal breaker. I overall like this game. I love the boss fights, and I like dying to bosses because I would like to just go and try them again. I think they are bosses I would like to have to, fight 3 or 4 times to figure out and win. And every time I've killed one, it's been very intense and to the wire. But it's just, you have to eliminate that 10-minute downtime between retrying a boss. I think this game would be great.
Gotcha. Now, I'm wondering if that's the punishing nature of death is kind of an artificial way to extend the length of time you can play this game. Like, can you get a feel of how long the game would be without that punishing aspect?
I'll say that it gives me a percentage of the monsters I've seen in the game, and okay. I've been playing it for I'd probably say I've been playing about 5 hours right now, and I'm about a third of the way through it. I've seen about 33% of the monsters. Now, granted, after you beat the game, I believe you unlock different subs that you can pilot, and they have different weapons systems that upgrade. So if you want to play through it again with a different sub, I guess. And then there's also a hunter mode, which I'm not sure what it does. I couldn't find an explanation of what hunter mode is. But again, I believe that's unlocked after I beat the 100% of all the bosses.
I'm just going to assume it's probably a boss rush mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably get the fight a series of the bosses in succession.
Maybe. But I want to try out the other subs. I would like them to be unlocked a little faster, but that might be worthy of replay value if that update that they promised does make it a little smoother play time. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, I like I said, I really do like it, and I do pick it up. I just feel like there's that one problem that is going to be sucking away a lot of people's enjoyment until they update it. So definitely let's see what that update looks like, and I will get back to you. So just kind of put it on hold for this week, guys.
Right. Yeah. That sounds good. Now, speaking of which, have you been playing Stardew Valley, Casey?
I've purposely not installed it yet. I have a code. I want to install it. I'm just not ready to begin that yet.
Yes. So it's good because I've been playing it quite a bit, and I'm really enjoying the experience, Casey.
Oh, have you?
Now, yes. So picking up Stardew Valley, we talked a lot about it last week and went over some mechanics and details. So I just want to give off my impressions and some things that I like and some things that I dislike about the game.
Yeah, I want to hear where you're going. I want to know what kind of house you made and stuff. I want to know everything what you're doing, man.
So Stardew Valley is awesome. I love how it really encompasses that Harvest Moon feel that I've been looking for quite a while. Mm-hmm. You jump into the game and it doesn't really tell you anything. It gives you the very basic description of, hey, this is your place. You have a farm, do stuff, talk to people, etc. It's just a very small guideline of what to do, but you really dictate your experience in this game, and that's part of the appeal. There is definitely more direction than I expected because there is a quest board that you can go to in order to fulfill people's requests and get money from that, and that's something that I actually liked and wasn't expecting within Stardew Valley itself. But everything is just so open-ended, and it can be pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, I've heard people describe the quest board more as, like, you can do the quests as just, it's really just a way to get more money to fund the other things you want to do.
Right, exactly. When I got a quest at first, I was like, oh, I gotta rush to get this quest done, or else I'm missing out. But the first time I didn't meet the expectations of a quest, I was like, oh, you know what? There's not really any consequence of failing. I think I'll just use this to supplement what I'm already doing. So now, going into the game blind without knowing anything about it is a bit tricky, since there is so much to the game. It's good to get guidance or some level of understanding before hopping in. I'm glad Rin did that for a lot of you guys in the last episode, and I think it really helps. Now, what surprised me was that there actually are a few supernatural elements to this game that we didn't really cover last week.
Okay, tell me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's spoilery because it's not really that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of a big deal, but it's not really affecting any story. It won't ruin your experience for knowing.
Well, it's a general concept in the game.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay, that's fine.
So after a certain point in the game, you go into an empty community center, and one of the tasks that you can focus on is renovating that community center and working to improve it. Now, there's these little ghost spirits that pop up, and they have their own different language, and part of the game that you uncover is just the lore behind these spirits and how they're encompassing themselves into the town. And I'm trying to be not as spoiler free as possible, but I did not expect that element of the game, and I think it's very welcome. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
It's one of those games where it's unassuming and you expect it to be one thing, but there's just that added element of extra stuff that you really didn't expect. A good example for me is actually something like Adventure Time, where you kind of jump into it thinking it's just a fun, kooky cartoon, but then there's just something else in the background that's adding a bit more depth to the experience. It's kind of like that.
I gotcha. I remember because this game is what 70% of the chat has been about in Discord this whole week.
Oh, absolutely.
And I will say that I'll probably post a link to it in the description, but there's definitely a good primer out there that we've pinned in the chat, just that everyone's been looking at for basic understanding, unless you just want to figure it out for yourself. But I think Ardwolf in the chat mentioned something that I think is an important thing for people to realize going in, and is that one of your decisions early on defines what your whole farm looks like for the rest of the game and what your focus activity will be on there.
Right, that's exactly right. It's not a hidden thing. At the very start of the game, you can determine what type of farm that you're going to have. It could be a standard farm, a fishing-centric farm, a mining-centric farm, a forest farm, etc. And that actually does inform the focus of your activities throughout your gameplay experience.
Yeah, so it's important to get one that has the most adapted resources to what you are planning to do the most. But he said he didn't realize that he was making some sort of permanent choice. So I don't know. I got the impression that maybe others might not realize they're making a decision early on that is just like locking them into something that affects their town for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it wasn't even an option that was built into the story at all. It's part of the character customization. Okay. That's just one menu aspect of that menu that you click on and accept. So that could definitely be a little surprising to some people.
Okay. What did you pick?
Well, I wanted to get as wide an experience as possible, so I just picked the standard farm. It's the most generic. It gives you a lot of farm space, and it doesn't give you any focus one direction or another.
I gotcha.
Now, I am trying to go into the game as spoiler-free as possible. Mm-hmm. So the things that I loved about Harvest Moon was just the events that popped up in the calendar. So when I'm farming and I can look at the calendar and see, oh, hey, look, the Spring Festival is coming up in 2 weeks. I should prepare for that. And then a couple days after that, oh, hey, look, there's an Egg Festival coming up. I'm so excited to see how that changes up the farm that I'm used to. And it's the simple things, and I actually really like looking forward to that type of stuff. I liked it in Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon, and this game adds to it tenfold.
Now, I gotta ask, now this is something that's it's a small, but I think a very important difference in how those kind of calendars work. Now, in Stardew Valley, you control the calendar in that you can go to sleep and you can just go to the next day at will, whereas Animal Crossing synced up to our actual calendar. And you had, like, if there was an event on Sunday, well, you better play it on Sunday or you got to wait. And I personally kind of like that. I like getting excited for like actual real life time to go by, but at the same time that limited how much you could do every day.
I definitely, I definitely feel like each calendar style has its own place because yes, I agree. It's great in Animal Crossing that it syncs up to the real world and that lets you schedule in the real world how to handle the events with other people, and that's part of the experience for that. But with something like Stardew Valley, you really want to set your own speed, set your own pace, and this lets you do that. You have so much control over how you want to approach this game.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk about marriage options and who you want to fall in love with or befriend, etc.
Anybody? Yeah.
You know what? Okay, so there are a lot of really awesome female characters. I'm like leaning towards Maru because she's kind of dorky and adorable and like a working girl. I was considering any male options because no one really talks about them that much, and I wanted to see what's possible. To be honest, a lot of the males so far aren't particularly interesting. So
I gotcha.
I guess I gotta get to know everyone first, but we'll see how that goes, Casey.
Yeah, I'm honestly, like, if I do play it, I'm honestly probably going to play as a female, and I will and when I play it, I'm going to be open to both genders as my my spouse in the game, and I'll see where it goes. I'm going to
I definitely did my best to recreate myself in pixel form. I have black spiked hair, a hoodie on and pants and really dorky glasses, and I'm like, yes, this is me in little small Stardew pixel form. I dig it a lot.
As someone who plays a lot of otome games, the visual novels where you are a girl and you end up, with one of the male protagonists of it, I think I'm actually totally comfortable and kind of would be fine playing this game like that and actually being, being a female and just, finding out which dude I'm gonna spend time with.
No, that's part of the fun of this game. There are so many ways that you can approach it. Like for me, romance really isn't gonna be my primary focus. I'm pretty utilitarian and I live for the events.
I am a hopeless romantic, and I just love that actually does sucker me in very easily in these games, and so I'm interested. That actually is something I'm interested greatly in. Though I am also interested. I have decided if I do play it, I'll probably go with I think it's the wilderness type where there's more monsters to fight.
Yeah.
I want to be like an adventure girl. I want to be like, I'm out there to be the hunter adventurer type.
Yes, let your inner adventure girl spirit come out in this game,
right.
Casey. But no, that's part of what I love about this game. There's just so many ways you can approach the gameplay. You can focus on fishing, you can focus on adventuring, you can focus on mining, you can focus on your farm, you can focus on events or romance or, discovering this mystery of the spirits that I discussed earlier. There's just so much to it. And it's so nice to have all of this inside of a little $20 package.
Yeah. I'll mention, I heard a really great conversation on one of my favorite podcasts of someone trying to sell this to someone else. The podcast is actually called Cortex. Well, one of the hosts is CGP Grey, very popular YouTuber. I watch a lot of his videos, very informative, educational kind of stuff, but fun. And this is a podcast. The podcast is actually just about kind of like, I want to say productivity It's about like, I mean, they talk about like iPhones or how they organize their workflows and stuff like that. It's still interesting. Don't make it sound more boring than it is. But
workflows, what?
Yeah, like, and they talk about tech and what apps they use to like organize their like projects and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting, because that's literally the software that I work on for work.
Oh, okay. Well, then you might enjoy some of the stuff these guys talk about there. But one of the parts of the newest episode was one of the co-host was trying to convince CGP Grey to play Stardew Valley. And he's telling him, he's like, you have a Switch, you should be playing Stardew Valley. And he's like, well, why? And he's like, I think it's for you because for you, it's a resource management game. It's a game that you can go in and you can be like, and you can figure out like, what is the most optimal way to spend this money? Should I buy this much more seed? Should I spend my time doing this? Like, you would probably use the same like apps you use to schedule your day to schedule how to spend your time in the game and be like, okay, I think this is the most optimal use of this time, and and this and that, and how
that's
my
pretty
resources
accurate.
go.
That's hilarious.
And that actually kind of spurred his interest in it a little bit there. And the first thing he asked was, so like, are there ways for me to automate some of my farm work? Can I hire people at a certain point? He's like, I don't know, but I know you can get sprinklers. And he's like, yeah, all right, that's automation.
Yeah, it totally counts. It
so
really
he's already trying to find ways to make the work more efficient.
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely interesting that you can approach it that way. I didn't even think about the automation element, and that's what I do for work.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, but I do want to cover a few little issues that I have with the game. And,
yes, you mentioned, definitely.
Yeah, so I gotta say, saving a file takes so long, Casey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of every day, you go back to sleep to start up the new day, and in between each day, during that sleep time, you save your file, and that process can take what feels like 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
And it's literally just a black screen without any, save bar or any animation to trigger to indicate
little mini game to
working.
play. That's like prime area for like one of those silly mini games while you're saving.
No, it doesn't even do that. It's you get a score screen of the stuff that you've sold at the end of the day, and it goes through everything you sold, and it has a few statistics of what you did. But after that, the save screen processes, and I was like, you know what? Why don't they integrate the save screen on the same time that they're showing your scores, so you at least have something to look at while it's saving?
That makes sense.
But after digging and talking with the community, of course, this game was developed by a single person, and Concerned Ape, the developer, chose to create save files in XML format. Now, I don't expect anyone who's non-technical to know what that is, but it is a save format that is really clunky and slow to write in. It's generally not a problem in PCs because computers have enough processing capability to make that as a bit of a snappier process, but it's a very slow format to write into on consoles, and that's something that is not ideal.
Actually, I just read a story that there's actually a bug with saving, and some people get kind of a frozen screen when they're trying to save.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a bug and more of a performance timeout. Well, it's probably a bug, but it's likely related to the saving functionality software timing out, taking too long, and crashing your save file, which is frightening. But I haven't experienced it personally. We have a lot of players, and they haven't experienced it personally, so here's hoping it stays away from our community.
Just want to get a little catch up with what I've been doing with Golf Story, because I noticed something very interesting when I was playing Golf Story this week. And this is something kind of fun. I think you guys should try this at home. So I was up to this like one golf course that's like set on these like high cliffs, right? And there's a lot of like empty air. And if you kick your ball off a cliff or something like that, you'll hear this sound like woo, 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 whatever, right? But then I realized, wait, I'm playing with the sound off right now.
Okay.
And then I was like, wait a second. And then I realized the little wow, wow, wow sound was being made by the HD Rumble.
No way. So that thing is capable of producing a very specific sound each time?
Yeah, like it actually used the rumble to like some way it vibrated to make this sound effect of the ball flying down the cliff, and I was just like, that's really cool. And I would have not have noticed it if I hadn't been playing in
with
mute
the sound
mode.
off.
Yeah, with the sound off, because Amelie was watching something, and I just wanted to keep it quiet, and then that sound kept happening and made me chuckle.
That's a pretty interesting use of HD Rumble. I really do wish more games took advantage of HD Rumble like that.
Yeah. I'm noticing it more and more in this game as I've been paying attention since there, and I realized it did a lot of things. Like you could actually feel just everywhere the ball drops or when it moves across there. It's so subtle, but it's really cool when you start paying attention to it. They actually put a lot of thought into using HD Rumble in this game. Yeah,
and I wonder how easy it is to program for that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Also, we've been playing the heck out of Pokken at the last Switch Fest.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely one of those games that you want to get competitive head-to-head with, especially in the live scene.
And here's my public service announcement, actually. To anyone who's playing friendly online, hit that rematch button more often, people. People need to... It's good for both parties, because if I'm winning, it means I have something to teach you, or vice versa. Not saying I'm always winning, but if whoever's winning should hit it, because that means the other player could probably use a rematch to like maybe learn from you, or it's just a good way to raise your win percentage, right? And if you're losing, you should rematch that person and learn what you can and keep challenging the people. But almost every single time I hit rematch and the other person says no, and then maybe 2 nights ago, I found one person who let me rematch them like 20 times in a row, and they were really good. They were I was just learning Charizard, and they were a really good Darkrai and just totally zoning me out, and I could tell they were really practiced, but it took me 20 times, but it was 19 losses, and one time I was like, I think I figured out how to get in against this really good zoner, and I feel like it improved me and let me appreciate the matchup more, and I just wish more people would hit that rematch button instead of just being like, oh, I can't beat this guy, I don't want to play them. Oh, I beat this guy, let me move on to the next guy. It's like, just do it.
I'm wondering how benevolent that actually is. Because what if he's like, oh yes, this guy sucks, I can feed wins off of him.
That's fine. You know what? If it's selfish for you, that's fine.
Yeah, because it is ultimately beneficial for the person that's losing, because it is a learning experience. And if you're approaching each match about the same way, then it's a good method of practice for the person losing.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to play 20 matches like that one person did for me, but at least give them 2 or 3 matches total. I just think that's at least enough, because maybe you don't want to rematch them because they're too easy, but I mean, give them a chance to learn against somebody who obviously knows the game a little better.
Yeah, I agree. And Casey, we still haven't fought each other in this game. For some reason, we just our fighting schedules just don't align.
Yeah.
We'll get there
someday, but
we'll get there.
I said, I'm having fun. I finally started learning my second character because I want to make a trio, because I want to really try out that triples mode. But I'm up to Charizard and Braixen, and a lot of people don't like my Braixen, and that makes me happy.
That's a good thing. I don't like Braixen in general, but that doesn't mean she's a terrible character.
Yeah.
It just means that, it's a matchup that you have to work to figure out.
Right. All right, let's move into the news rundown, shall we?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, starting off the news.
Jump up in the air, jump up, don't be scared. Okay.
Wouldn't be an episode without JV singing.
Just a tad. JV sings. But I have to say,
they took it to the next level, yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, I forgot how catchy the song is until Nintendo released this new musical video.
Yeah, with like dancers and like a whole Broadway kind of production and everything with the song.
Yeah, it's a video of Mario in an almost real world setting, running around dancing with some jazz musicians and musical dancers. It's a fun video.
And the live actress as Pauline.
Playing Pauline, yeah.
Yes, I guess it's the singer, so it's a pretty good thing. And they're really pushing this, too. I think a lot of people have been taking to this song and making their own videos and doing, reenactments of it at the last, games conventions. And it's been a very huge marketing win for them. It's just the song is caught on in a meme-ish way. And they've just... to spread it even further, you can now download the song actually for free. They have a shortened version of it that you can get, and there's a link to on the homepage, Nintendo.com.
I remember when the song first came out, Casey, and people were kind of a little skeptical about it. They didn't really feel good about a
Singing,
Mario song
actual
having
voices,
actual lyrics. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think it's turned around and people are loving it and digging the tone.
It's about 3 weeks away. October 27th, we got the game.
Yeah, it's coming up real soon, Casey. Here it comes.
Now this is actually kind of funny. I didn't realize that Disney DX plays a lot of
XD.
Oh, so yeah. Disney XD plays a lot of the competitive gaming stuff on there.
They're definitely trying to tap into that market, which is totally cool. I think that's a really big deal.
Yeah, I think one night I stumbled upon, they were replaying the E3 Pokken Tournament and Splatoon stuff on there, and I was like, oh, this is kind of funny to see here. But apparently they also recently showed the Nintendo World Championships just recently, and it actually was their most viewed esport event ever on the channel, or at least of 2017, sorry. About 240,000 viewers, which is
that's
significant.
A lot.
That's a lot for them. I mean, other channels, let's put it for comparison, CBS, well, I guess this doesn't really count. Candy Crush had 4 million viewers, but that's cut down more than half since the show started because that show kind of stinks. So comparison, something like, let's see, where is this here? Injustice 2, Chasing the Cup, had about 400,000 viewers on the CW. So compare that to a cable channel, which has 240,000 viewers for the Nintendo thing. That's really significant,
Yeah, and looking here, even something like E-League on TBS, Street Fighter V, which is a huge esports that's streamed really popularly, it has 200,000 or 221,000, which is still less than Nintendo World Championship.
Yep, and EVO 2017, the Super Smash Bros. Finals on XD had 184,000, so it's still, again, significantly less. Again, I feel like this was mostly spurred on by the extra Nintendo excitement this year because of the Switch, even though they didn't really promote any Switch games in it. But I think people are just more Nintendo hyped and are just paying attention more because of the Switch's momentum rolling. So it doesn't even have to be a Switch-centric competition, but it's just attracting more people now.
And I also feel like there's an advantage to it being Nintendo because it is a family-friendly brand, and it's easier to share and spread to a wider, more broad audience.
Yes. Anyone who's worried about the production, actually, we got some good news for Switch production that they've been able to increase that to 2 million units a month now, which is amazing considering we reported a lot of news recently, maybe the last month or two, about how they were going to probably have to pull it back because of production problems and the factory that made them was shutting down and they would have to find a new source of the screens, all sorts of stuff. But being able to pump up production, all right, well, that's actually really amazing turnaround.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and I'm already starting to see stories of people seeing Switches in the wild more consistently, and I'm excited to see just how much this console is proliferating in the world.
Yes, and they're going to be smashing that prediction they made for the, what was it, 20 million systems?
Yeah, they initially wanted 10 million Switch units, and now their estimation is about 20 million.
Yeah, that's
double.
Right.
All right, so there is a huge Splatoon 2 update. It's version 1.4. It's now live, and they changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
The big changes is how they're handling player ranks. They even made a bunch of changes to spectator mode, to salmon run.
Yeah, just a lot of fixes, it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of different buffs and nerfs to the weapons that you all know about. But yeah, the biggest deal is the ranking switch, which is huge.
It looks like it's a little easier or you don't drop in rank as dramatically in the higher rank echelons. Like if you're S rank plus, you are, if anyone listening to this is able to get to that rank, I'd love to hear it. Tell me about it. But you can't drop as much in one loss, basically.
Right, that's
the biggest things.
That's the thing about the old system. Whenever you get to a high ranking level, you kind of feel disincentivized to keep playing because you've reached the top. You don't want to drop, and if you run into a streak of bad teammates or any unfortunate situations, bam, your rank is significantly lowered, and it's hard to get back up.
Yeah. What do you think of the new Switch Fest actually that we're getting? Which I'll just say I'm glad. It's a lot better than the UK or the European Switch Fest we talked not Switch Fest, Splatfest we talked about last week.
Yeah. So the Splatfest that we're running into in North America is Vampire versus Werewolf.
I was extremely surprised that we are on different sides on this one. I thought I was totally making a JV choice.
Oh, really? Team Vampire? You really thought I was going to go Vampire?
I thought your nickname on Discord would just become J Vampire.
No, I
J
went...
Vamp.
That's not a bad nickname. But I went with J Lycanthropy.
Okay, so you went with Werewolf. Why Werewolf?
I like werewolf. I like werewolf stories. I like the lore of werewolves, and I do prefer that they're a less explored literary figure, or not necessarily figure, but it's a less explored mythology. Okay. I do prefer the tragic element of them and how underdogged they are compared to vampires.
Okay, pun intended.
Indeed.
Yes. I don't know. I just said, the one thing, like, I'm not a crazy vampire fan. If anything, I like being a vampire hunter any chance I get in an RPG. But if I had to choose between these two things, one has immortality, one has back hair, I guess.
Oh, come on.
It's just like, I want to see the singularity. I gotta be a vampire. It's like that alone is just reason enough to pick them over almost anything. So, and I don't have to give up my sentience. Great, done.
Well, okay, so yeah, it's very dependent on the lore that you follow. Like I've seen some really cool ways they've handled werewolves, and a lot of time, and oftentimes werewolves are able to blend in with a crowd and still live their normal life, except for this one tragic moment that they have to be careful. And I think that's super interesting compared to I'm a vampire. Oh, I want to suck your blood.
I can respect that you like them for their faults. Like, it's a tragic weakness. It's not necessarily you like them because, I have the power of this animal. Blah. No, it's like you appreciate the fact that it's actually a curse.
Yeah, it is a curse. And I love the stories where they, werewolves rise up and use their curse in beneficial ways. If you know what I mean. It's
cool.
It's a cool story. It's a cool method.
I just like that these Splatfests give us an excuse to talk about these stupid topics.
Yeah, you know what? Let's embrace it.
Yeah. So Snapper Canal has been added to the stage repertoire. This is the one with that big one long stream in the middle of the map, and crossing it to get to the enemy side is the big challenge of progressing past a certain point.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. And have you ever gotten to try the Bamboozler 14 Mark 1?
No, I have not. I'm not sure what's different about it.
Yeah, I haven't got my hand, but it just looks like a new sniper rifle type weapon. I'm sure it's just like a new, maybe like a sub
right.
weapon.
Okay, now I remember. So the Bamboozler is a charger, but it actually gives you increased movement speed while you're charging. So you're not as limited in mobility while you're charging the weapon, but I think that limits the range of the weapon itself.
Okay, cool. Nice little thing there, and it looks kind of cool. Tiny Barbarian DX, which came out last week, and I think a couple people in the group bought it, and it's a fun little platformer. But
yeah,
they released a soundtrack actually that was kind of cool.
Okay,
76 tracks, 8-bit tunes, 3 hours of music from all the stages there, and I heard some good things. And it's, I took a listen. It's kind of groovy, 8-bit, game music. I don't know. It just needed them to just put this all out there for people to check out and enjoy. And you can get it on. This is on iTunes, Spotify, and Bandcamp if you want to check it out.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it. What I like about these indie games is that since they can't necessarily focus so much on hardcore graphics and extreme textures, they can splurge a little bit on other aspects like music or gameplay. It's fun.
Now, this was actually a little bit of a kind of news, that Sonic Forces confirmed that it's only going to be 720p, 30 frames per second on Switch.
That's really disappointing. Sonic games it never really seemed like it would be graphically intensive, and I was hoping it would hit that 60 frames per second because Sonic is about speed, and you want to feel that speed, and 60 frames per second is how you do it nowadays. It's a bummer. It's definitely a bummer.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be, raising the pitchforks this week over this. But we got the NBA 2K patch finally landed. People were waiting for this because that game was pretty buggy, laggy. Sound didn't sync up with the events in the game. So there was a lot of little problems, and it took them longer than people thought was reasonable to fix this with this patch. But you can fix it now, and it sounds like it's going to, it gets everything up to snuff.
Right. It still doesn't have the features that we're looking for, like online play with friends. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so ARMS version 3.2 was shown off in a trailer. It looks interesting because they're including a new badge stash mode, which is essentially achievements within ARMS itself.
Yep.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, cool. People people have been asking us about achievement-y kind of stuff. I mean, this is just isolated to one game, but it just shows that it's a possibility. Though, honestly, if Nintendo's adding this to just one game like this, I guess that could mean that we probably aren't going to get some sort of system-based achievements.
Yeah.
With the Switch.
Maybe they'll integrate this system into other games and then they can unify it. It's possible.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see.
And they teased what looked like a little Robo Springman character.
So is this a robot Springman, or is this like a new addition to the fighting? Yeah, I guess it is robot Springman. That's pretty cool.
Lovely. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was a burst mode that was added to all the players to shake up the gameplay, but
maybe.
Yeah, it might just be a new character.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff. The game is still really good.
This is like something that you would probably get into.
Yeah, so Cyber Gadget is releasing a slim Nintendo Switch dock. And it looks like it allows for LAN play, which lets you hook up multiple docks through an Ethernet port for local play.
Yeah, and so it's like basically no adapters needed. It's just an easy way to do that. And everyone I know is trying to get their hands on some slim dock or another. I think it's pretty good for, when you want to bring your Switch to somebody else's place and play it on a TV. I think that's the main thing. Honestly, I was even thinking about taking it over to somebody's place for... Honestly, when's the last time this has happened? I actually asked somebody about, hey, we should hang out and do some couch multiplayer on Pokken or something like that. We want to do And that actually came up in a conversation like, hey, we should hang out this day and just, play this game for like a few hours in a living room somewhere. I haven't even conceived of doing that in like several years.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And it's not something you can do as often with other consoles. But
right.
Couch co-op is thriving on the Switch.
And now couch versus.
Good point. Couch multiplayer in general.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to say that the functionality of this dock is replicable by getting a wired LAN adapter. So that's probably a cheaper option than this. But it's nice that the adapter is integrated into the dock itself.
I will say that I probably am interested in LAN play because I have noticed wireless play. I do hit random situations of lag and slowdown in matches, and it's been throwing off a few of my Pokken matches.
Okay. Do you know if you have if you were playing in locations with a lot of wireless interference?
It wasn't. I don't know. It was in the middle of New York. It's probably hard to go anywhere in New York City that doesn't have wireless going.
Yeah, because I've played locally, just at home, and I've never really experienced slowdown or that type of issue.
Yeah, so it could be just where in the city it's going to be a problem maybe. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Casey.
Yeah. Ukulele, they showed off a cool collector's edition as well of this with a special collector boxy, they called this, with a special model or statuette of the ukulele that looks pretty cool and some other nifty little doodads.
Yeah, it comes with character pins, a keychain, the statue, some concept art cards. It's a pretty cool package, and if you're a really big fan of ukulele, you can pick this up for $59. That's a respectable price.
Yeah, no, it's a really colorful statuette. It's very nice, and all the little things, like, it looks like they're like character pins. They look pretty sweet, and a little keychain, some art cards. All the thing, and the box itself looks pretty nice. So
yeah, the statue itself looks pretty big. I don't know how big it is necessarily, but I was kind of hoping that this design would be on an amiibo, but if it's bigger than the constraints of an amiibo size, then it might be worth it.
Yeah, it's also 1 1/4 pounds, so it's definitely
it's probably heftier. Yeah.
Also getting a collector's edition, Retro City Rampage DX. They have the physical version of the Switch game coming out.
Oh man, yeah, I love that they're adding little physical doodads to physical copies of games nowadays. This physical copy comes with a keychain, 3D glasses,
okay,
a compact disc music thing, an instruction manual. I like it.
I like the reversible cover, and do you recognize what that is emulating the look of?
What was that thing called? Well, it looks like Doodle Jump.
That is a, I guess you could say, a parody or a recreation of a Sega Master System game box with complete with the original style of art and the fonts and everything like that. It's pretty cool.
All right, so listeners, you can definitely tell that we have a bit of an age difference because I referenced Doodle Jump while Casey referenced a Sega Master System. Let's age ourselves.
You say age difference, I say wisdom. It's, potato to potato.
Oh, burn.
Ow. Down the pipe, we have, I thought this is kind of cool, Revenant Saga. It's coming out next week in Japan, but it does have an English mode in it, so you might be able to download this and play. But this just kind of caught my eye. It looks like almost, it's like a 3D model RPG. Kind of reminds me of like Sega Saturn Age type RPGs.
Yeah.
And it just caught my eye with that in the anime style, I can't understand anything in the trailer for it, but the art and the just the graphics in general kind of appeal to me in this old school RPG thing.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is a 2D world, and you move around in 2D on the overworld, but in the battles itself, it's 3D, and the graphics are pretty good in the battles.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Skies of Arcadia for some reason. I don't know.
That's a good way to put it.
2 games were announced to be coming out October 24th. This is the Police, which is the little bit of the sim game where you manage a police precinct for a certain amount of time. You make some moral choices. You have to keep the peace while trying to raise enough money to, what is it? You have to raise $500,000 in 180 days. Also, October 24th, Night Terrors. This just kind of looks like an endless runner with a lot of, where you're a knight running and slashing random ghoulies, whatever. Gear Club Unlimited, that's we found is coming December 1st. And this is just another racing game with a 4-player local split screen multiplayer.
Yeah, that's actually still a rarity in this in the Switch nowadays.
And it's they boasted, has 1080p, 30 frames per second. This was based on a mobile game, I believe. So it's just another mobile game making this jump up to the Switch, interestingly enough.
Yep.
And, oh no, this is the game I thought was really cool, though. This game really got me. It's pretty funny. Never Stop Sneakin'. This is basically a parody of Metal Gear Solid.
I'm looking at the trailer and it's like, this is Metal Gear. It's gotta be.
It's like almost with like little chibi-ish characters and they all look like that style. But if you can hear, it's great. The premise is like really over the top schemes that a Metal Gear Solid would kind of do, where it's like
16 hours ago, Amadeus Guildenstern traveled through time and kidnapped all the presidents.
That is awesome.
And then they're introducing you to like the villains you fight, and they're like,
Schad and Freud, senators on the subcommittee of pain. Dr. Acula, health secretary, probably a vampire. And of course, Vice President Helicopter, who is a helicopter.
What's even better about this game is that it's a Switch exclusive, Casey.
Yes.
Which is cool.
And yeah, it has. It looks like it's basically actually faster paced gameplay than Metal Gear Solid. It looks like it has more like confined stages where you're doing stealth, but you're a lot more based around the action and just trying not to be seen while you're taking out a long corridor of guards and stuff.
I'm so down for this. We got it. I want to play this so badly now, Casey.
And you have to listen to the theme song to it when we're done, because the actual music that's playing for that trailer, it sounds like the Snake Eater type, like really dramatic Bond kind of music.
Yeah.
But it's just singing about like never stop sneaking.
A folklore but for you. Snake Eater.
New releases?
New releases. All right, so there's a bunch of games that are out now. And I'll start with Oxenfree, which is a game that I feel like you guys should definitely not ignore, because I've heard really good things about it. There's Stardew Valley, Toho Kobuto, 5 Burst Battle, Tiny Barbarian DX, 88 Heroes, 98 Heroes Edition, Super Beat Sports, Yono and the Celestial Elephants.
Few people are excited about that one. Few people are very been looking forward to that cute little adventure game.
Earth Atlantis, which is what we talked about earlier. Axiom Verge, which I believe is selling most on the Switch compared to any other release of it. So that's a really good deal.
That's right. I've seen I've seen quite a few stories this week about games that released on Switch that sold more in their first Switch month than they did in the entire lifetime on Steam or something like that.
I think that's a really good sign and an incentive for other indies to bring their stuff over to the Switch. Mm-hmm. So hopefully us Switch cats can keep that up. It's exciting. So Volgar the Viking is also coming out. Tumblestone, Ninja Showdown, and Metal Slug X on the Neo Geo, which is my favorite Metal Slug, actually.
Oh, yeah? Okay, yeah. Cool. October 12th, we have The Flame in the Flood, King of Fighters 95, Neon Chrome, and Square Boy vs. Bullies Arena Edition. It's a weird little cute brawler game.
Yeah. So on October 17th, there's Rogue Trooper Redux, the Jackbox Party Pack 4. There's so many party packs now.
Jackbox, man, everyone loves there's like 20 you don't know Jacks out there. They're just timelessly fun games.
Yeah, it's a local multiplayer fun. And Don't Knock Twice.
which is that's the scary game that I'm hoping to play around Halloween-y time.
Oh, so I should have said, don't knock twice.
There you go. October 19th, Spelunker Party and Party Golf. So that's the party day, I guess.
And on the 20th is Fire Emblem Warriors and Siberia.
All right, Community Pulse.
All right, let's go.
What you just heard, JB. All right, yes. First question from Benjamin Lavelle. Does the new FIFA game on Switch worry you guys that third-party ports will all follow the same lazy path?
So he's talking about just the sheer number of bugs in it and the fact that there isn't any friend multiplayer. Now, absolutely I am concerned about the fact that these ports aren't as feature rich as they're promising, and I'm not necessarily worried about all third party ports in general, but I'm dubious of EA ports specifically now.
Sports games in general are very important to the overall success of any system, so I'm a little more concerned when it's coming in this direction. Now, hopefully this is just something, more EA centric, but then again, with the NBA 2K thing, with all the little bugs and stuff like that, at least they fixed that. If the FIFA gets a fix and maybe they improve on it in the near future, it might make up for it, but it is a little bit of a dent, and it is something that might exclude an important market from the Nintendo Switch fan base.
Yeah, I wonder if this discrepancy is isolated to sports games right now, or maybe they're having trouble figuring out the Nintendo online infrastructure. All of those factors might be contributing to the situation, but to be honest, I'm really hoping that they step up their game and release better sports games on the Switch. The Switch is a great console for that, and it's a wasted opportunity.
Juan Nieves wrote, is there any portable battery recommendation that you have for the Switch? I've been charging it on the car because Puerto Rico hasn't fixed its electricity since Hurricane Maria passed by the island. This is actually a really interesting question, and thank you for coming to us, and I do hope that you and your family are okay.
What are you doing listening to a podcast? Conserve your energy, man.
Actually, didn't we even talk about this exact situation, though? I mean, saying how the Switch it is great to have a system that even if you're in such a situation like this, you can still find a way to play it if, your house blew away and now you're just kind of sitting waiting for society to get kind of back on its feet around you. It's like a good escape that's still accessible to people in these situations. So,
right. That is something we covered in previous episodes. And here's hoping everything turns out better for you, Juan.
And if you can help, if you have any, a lot of people have been bringing these portable batteries, and definitely that would make it a lot smoother to play in situations like he's in. Is there anything in particular that maybe we could link to in the description that you could suggest? So
a very popular portable battery that people use for the Switch is the Anker Power Core battery, specifically the Power Core Plus. It's relatively inexpensive. It's about $65 for 20,100 mAh, which is a good chunk. But any portable battery that has USB-C functionality should work with a Switch. So if you see anything more within your price range that still supports USB-C, that should do the trick.
Cool. Have you ever looked into, or would you suggest any, because I was recently looking at any possible solar-powered battery kind of things, and have you seen anything like that actually works decently?
It's a bit tricky, because solar power batteries don't generally have the output to properly power up a Switch, or to properly charge a Switch. I haven't seen any firsthand.
Okay. Just from my experience, like looking at those, definitely the batteries don't work that great, but just the things that are like, in case you don't have a car to charge your Switch and or battery with, just the portables, there's a lot of solar chargers that are decent, even if they don't have the battery part, but in conjunction with a external battery like the one that JV just suggested, there are some good options for these situations as well, or if you're just camping.
Yeah, honestly, most legitimate portable batteries can charge your Nintendo Switch somewhat. It really depends on your budget, but the best ones to get are the USB-C capable portable batteries.
Yeah, I'll just give you an example. I think someone had the Anchor, or at least one of the Anchor ones at Switch Fest, and he charged with just one of those batteries 3 other people's Switches to pretty much full when they were all dying, and he was just going around giving everybody else a charge. So
yeah, he was the Switch medic for the event.
Yeah, basically. So you will basically be quadrupling your power, I guess, about with one of those things.
Yeah, just make sure the power output is considered fast charging. That's something that's really important for Switch charging. So Calvin Connor said, "You are now the president of Nintendo of Japan. What do you come up with for your next console?"
All right.
The Nintendo Switch 2! Honestly, it's hard to say. The Nintendo Switch fits into our wheelhouse so well. I would just want an even stronger version of the Switch. It's hard. It's really hard. I can't think of too much.
It's hard to think of only because, it has to be right for the time that it comes out. Obviously, right now, there's already this Switch, but we have to kind of imagine what, let's say, like 5+ years in the future, things will look like and how Nintendo could adapt to that future. I'm picturing, still hybrid system, but I can imagine a collapsible type of system like the Switch, but one that either, let's say, has a screen that rolls up like the new the new Android phones I saw that have like the screen that can just bend and roll and fold together and close up. Like one that has a screen like that, so that it can fold out and become a large, even a pretty large screen to play anywhere, but it can also just kind of close up really tight and be a more pocketable device that can then even just plug into your TV like a USB stick to become the home console.
Now, if we're even going further with that and talking about even more future gaming trends, I would actually like to see a Nintendo augmented reality console.
Okay, augmented reality.
Yeah, so Nintendo's delved into that in the 3DS in the past, and doing a full-fledged augmented reality console would be pretty great. Maybe it's a set of goggles that you can put on your head that you can pocket pretty easily, but put it on and it's a screen that you can dig into, and you can project the real-world image with whatever augmented reality graphics it needs. It's something that I would be interested in.
Okay, that sounds cool. It would definitely work with Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that would be great. Or Pokemon in general. That would be awesome.
Yeah, yes. All right, last one I think would be PKJ 1980 wrote, Super Mario Odyssey looks fantastic. Think it'll take Zelda Breath of the Wild's crown as Game of the Year.
That's very hard to say. When was the last time a Mario game took a Game of the Year? Was it Galaxy, I think?
Galaxy definitely was up there, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen a Mario to this level of grandeur in a while since Galaxy. Because Super Mario 3D World was great, but it didn't get this level of hype and this level of creative. So it's hard to say. Breath of the Wild is just such a phenomenal game and has such a wide appeal in this current video game market.
I don't think anything's going to be able to steal Breath of the Wild's thunder because basically impressioning. It wasn't just that Breath of the Wild was a great game. It was the first game I think 90% of Switch owners played. It was so its feelings of how good it is are rolled up into everyone's experience with the Switch overall. And that's just a kind of a quality that you can't duplicate. Even if Mario Odyssey is objectively better in every way, just the fact that it's, releasing at this time in the middle, and, there's already, our expectations are high and we've been enjoying the Switch. It's just going to not be as impressionable of an experience as going from never have experiencing the Switch to experiencing what could be one of the best games of all time on the Switch and playing it with, everyone else who owned one. So I think that's all tied up to it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's very difficult to beat the impressioning that Zelda has had on the Switch. Yeah. So, lastly, Cumulative said, do you believe the Switch will ever get a high-action title like Ninja Gaiden 3, Razor's Edge, with complex combat and online versus play? Platinum Games has had a relationship with Nintendo for a little bit now. So I would not be surprised if we get a new Bayonetta or a new Wonderful 101 game. Those are definitely feasible to see on a Nintendo platform.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't consider something like Warriors as a high action game?
It's high action. I wouldn't say the combat is complex compared to something like Ninja Gaiden. But I think Bayonetta is pretty comparable to it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, I want to see a Beautiful Joe.
Oh, I wish, Casey. That would be great.
I need to get.
But yeah, cumulative. I say Bayonetta.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. I think they're just they're coming out with one big title every month, and they're hitting up different genre. I think we will get to it in time. I mean, if nothing on the horizon yet looks like it fills that niche, I think it's inevitable. It's on its way.
Agreed.
All right, can we wrap up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Let me just remind everybody that we have a Patreon. That is patreon.com/theswitchcast. And we really need your support to keep the show going and thriving. So if you can go down there, you can pledge your support. You could say you want to give us $1 a month. You could say you want to give us $11.50 a month, whatever. It all goes towards making this show happen and expanding what we can do and sending you a few prizes along the way. So definitely consider it if you've been listening and you haven't backed us yet. And for those of you who do back us, you guys are doing God's work.
On that note, I definitely want to bring up our Discord chat. We have so many people with diverse tastes that if you want to play a multiplayer game with someone on the Switch, someone's going to be there willing to jump in and hop into multiplayer games with you. We're an awesome, friendly, open, welcoming community.
And if you prefer your conversations and social interactions in the slower social networky style, we have a Facebook group and a Twitter. The Twitter is @theswitchcast. We'll have a link to the Facebook group in the show description. Join in. We post a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of great people there who share stuff as well.
Definitely want to thank HeatleyBros for the theme music. And until next time,
switch it up.